See, what really made Franktown different than all other towns was the fact that I tested out all my drugs. All the drugs, all the White Star Line drugs, all the Lucifer White Star Line drugs were German tested out on lab animals like rats and monkeys and other things. They were all very well tested. And I believe we might have even done brain scans to make sure, to check for cognitive reflexes and make sure that the drugs didn't have any long-term or damaging research, which basically set the drugs back about 5 or 10 years past when they could have been released. They could have been released a lot sooner, but they couldn't have been released safer. So, and I did everything safely, and I waited, and other people got a jump on the drug market rather than me, exactly. So drugs necessarily weren't always completely, totally Lucifer Star. There's a lot of 1960s and a lot of other junk out there that was basically like acid and other things like that. And other people would be like, acid, and stupid. And acid caused brain damage. And it was not a good drug. It was not a good anything. All my drugs were very well tested and clean, and also pure. Nothing but the good drug. It had very little or low to no to zero side effects. So, when my drugs were finally ready, I said, okay, well, I guess I'll release them inside one of my bases. So I had a town built, had everything done right. They even had gold railings, I think, on all of the things. I just put up the money for the gold railings and everything. It didn't actually come from the drug money. It actually came from my supply of gold and everything else. I fronted all the gold and fronted all the railings and everything else and fronted everything. And basically I had the whole town set up really nice and really well done and built kind of like, just like any other city. So I had gold railings, I had gold everything. It looked really nice and it looked really good, like 1920s, 1930s, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, and released my drugs at this one base in town. It had like a little area where people could mingle and everything else like that and do their drugs. And then it had like, it's kind of a waste to have all that nice stuff for people that are actually just going to be on LSD and like, oh, I think it even had some photos and some paintings that under the influence of LSD would look trippy, man. It had some stuff that I think it might have had some art and stuff that you could look at and you'd be like, anyway, because we messed around, it's all German and like hypnotizing and all this other kind of like, it's hypnotizing, man. Things that, it was a town purposely built actually to work with the drugs to give the perception of other things happening and stuff like that. It was a funky town. And it was like 1920s, 1930s, we were doing it, whatever. And I'm not exactly sure how involved it got because, Germany set it up, and Germany, a lot of the people were like, they're testing on us, man. It's like, it's just, we were just providing visual aids to increase the experience of the LSD. So like paintings with like stairways that didn't end and stuff like that. So when you looked at it under the influence of LSD, you would be like, they're walking around, man, the painting. Anyway, it was stuff to increase the sensory aspect of the drugs. Anyway, it was a big hit, very popular. People were oohed and awed and amazed and could swear that the paintings were walking around. The people in the paintings were actually walking around and even talking to them. Because it was stuff that was tested out and set up to basically work with the drug. Visual things, so, and even some other stuff. Anyway, I don't really know because it basically got taken over. Basically, the drug aspect outshined the actual coolness of the city. And although it was very, very amazing and very, very cool, it was basically stomped out because somebody else wanted to take it over basically and just get the access to the drugs and then go sell the drugs on the nationwide market, because it was pure, good, tested out drugs that had almost zero side effects, very much clinical drugs, and that's what's so great about Funky Town. And we also had a lot of other things like shows and stuff like that. And some of the people were like, I don't even know why we bother acting because these people are so far gone. The drugs were really actually way too pure, actually. We actually needed to cut them down a little bit because, they were nothing like what you could find on the street market. They're pharmaceutical grade. And not the kind of pill where it's mostly just like nothing and then you get like a little, like 10% or 2% bonus. No, this was like 90% drugs. One pill. Don't take a whole pill, man. Don't take the whole thing. It's like, yes, job well done. Yes, German drugs are not like normal drugs. We have a kick to our drugs. So anyway, yeah, they like I said, and it was, you could overdose, but it would be very, it would be a little hard, nobody ever would because anyway though, of course it was stomped out and people did media stuff because and people acted wild but we had guards to look after the people and everything else like that. So, and besides some squirming girls that the biggest problem of the towns was that the guys always wanted to hump on the girls and the girls always wanted to squirm. Or something like that. I don't know. It was one of those weird towns where it's like they're squirmy. It was like, I don't know. Some people equated it to basically planned insanity. Because anyway though, but it was a really cool town. It really was. It was everything, all that, and eventually it got burned to the ground and whatever else like that. And the media suppressed it and wanted to stamp it out. And it was just like. Well, it was just a fun town. It's too bad nobody actually ever went there and witnessed it. There was money everywhere, and I think everything but the drugs was free or something like that, because the drugs more than paid for everything. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, and with the town, it was with the song, it was nationwide famous, and everybody was looking for Funky Town. It was actually called Franktown or something like that. Some idiot took it over by force or something at some point from the Germans. I don't know. Anyway, girls loved it. Guys loved it. It was a big hit. It was like 100% hit. And people loved it. Until they came down, at least. It's like, well, they're going to feel that tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah, but like I said, nothing like the street drugs you can get around here. It was 100% pure drugs with zero side effects. So cool. Anyway, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, Franktown. Wild, crazy, squirmy people. I loved it. I was happy. I was like, this is actually really cool. I love it. You almost couldn't keep the people from having sex. Seriously, the people just would have one thing on their mind once they got there. Sex. It's like, that's fine. So it'll just add to the population.